Hello and welcome back to Bluehat Cybersec Academy. In this lesson, I am going to explain micro-segmentation characteristics, virtual local area network, also known as VLAN, virtual local area network segmentation, and, last but not the least, virtual private network or VPN. These topics are part of Domain 4, Network Security Concepts, in the Certified in Cybersecurity exam, and are useful for both exam preparation and building a strong cybersecurity foundation. So, let's begin. Some key points about microsegmentation are important to understand. Microsegmentation allows for extremely granular restrictions within the IT environment, to the point where rules can be to individuals and even individuals be as detailed and complex as desired. For instance, we can limit which IP addresses can communicate with a given machine, at which time of day, with which credentials, and which services those connections can utilize. These are logical rules, not physical rules, and they do not require additional hardware or manual interaction with the device. An administrator can apply rules to various machines without having to physically touch each device or the cables connecting it to the networked environment. This represents the ultimate end state of the defense-in-depth philosophy, where no single point of access within the IT environment can lead to a broader compromise. This capability is especially crucial in shared environments, such as the cloud, where more than one customer's data and functionality might reside on the same devices, and where third-party personnel, such as administrators or technicians who work for the cloud provider rather than the customer, might have physical access to those devices. Microsegmentation also allows an organization to limit which business functions, units, offices, or departments can communicate with others in order to enforce the concept of least privilege. For example, the Human Resources Office typically has access to employee data that no other business unit should see, such as home addresses, salary information, medical records, and other sensitive details. Microsegmentation, like VLANs, can make HR its own distinct IT enclave, so that sensitive data is not available to other business entities, thereby reducing the risk of exposure in modern environments. Microsegmentation is made possible through virtualization and software-defined networking technologies in the cloud. The tools used to apply this strategy are often referred to as virtual private networks or security groups. Even in a home environment, microsegmentation can be used to separate computers from smart TVs, air conditioning systems, and other smart appliances, which may be connected to the network and could contain vulnerabilities. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is virtual local area networks. Virtual local area networks, or VLANs, allow network administrators to use switches to create software-based LAN segments. These segments can segregate or consolidate traffic across multiple switch ports. Devices that share a VLAN communicate through switches as if they were on the same Layer 2 network. For example, different VLANs, such as red, green, and blue, can connect separate sets of ports together while still sharing the same underlying network segment, which may consist of multiple switches and their interconnections. Since VLANs act as discrete networks, communication between VLANs must be explicitly enabled. Broadcast traffic is limited to each VLAN, which reduces congestion and also reduces the effectiveness of certain types of attacks. Administration of the environment is simplified because VLANs can be reconfigured when individuals change their physical location or require access to different services. VLANs can be configured based on switch ports, IP subnets, MAC addresses, or protocols. However, VLANs do not guarantee a network's security. At first glance, it may appear that traffic cannot be intercepted because communication within a VLAN is restricted to member devices. In reality, there are attacks that allow a malicious user to view traffic from other VLANs, commonly referred to as VLAN hopping. As a result, VLAN technology should be viewed as one tool among many that can improve the overall security of a network environment. Let's move further into how VLANs are used in practice. VLANs are basically virtual separations within a switch and are used primarily to limit broadcast traffic. A VLAN can be configured to communicate with other VLANs or to remain isolated, and it may be used to segregate different network segments. There are several common uses of VLANs in corporate networks. One common use is separating voice over IP, or VoIP, telephones from the corporate data network. This separation allows organizations to more effectively manage the network traffic generated by voice communications by isolating it from other types of traffic. Another common use of VLANs is to separate the data center from all other network traffic. This approach helps contain server-to-server traffic within the data center, while still allowing specific traffic from workstations or the web to access servers, as discussed earlier. VLANs can also be used to segment networks based on job function. For example, a VLAN can separate payroll workstations from the rest of the workstations on the network. Routing rules can then be applied so that only devices within this payroll VLAN can access servers containing payroll information. Earlier, we also discussed network access control. These systems often use VLANs to determine whether devices connect to the corporate network or to a guest network. Even though a wireless access controller may connect to a single physical port on a network switch, the VLAN associated with the device's connection on the wireless access controller determines which VLANs the device operates on and which networks it is allowed to access. Finally, in large corporate networks, VLANs can be used to limit the amount of broadcast traffic. This is most common in environments with more than 1,000 devices, where networks may be separated by department, location, building, or other criteria as needed. The most important thing to remember is that while VLANs are logically separated, they can be configured either to allow access to other VLANs or to explicitly deny that access. To conclude, let's discuss virtual private networks. A virtual private network, or VPN, is not necessarily an encrypted tunnel. At its core, it is simply a point-to-point connection between two hosts that allows them to communicate. Secure communications can be provided by a VPN, but only if appropriate security protocols are selected and correctly configured to establish a trusted path over an untrusted network, such as the Internet. Remote users commonly employ VPNs to access their organization's network. Depending on the VPN's implementation, these users may have access to many of the same resources they would have if they were physically present in the office. As an alternative to expensive dedicated point-to-point connections, organizations also use gateway-to-gateway VPNs to securely transmit information over the Internet between different sites or even with businesses. That's all for this session. It is the last video of Domain 4 topics included in Certified in Cybersecurity, or CC, exam by ISC Squared. We will continue this series in the next video and start Domain 5, which is about security operations. Continue your learning journey. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bluehat Cybersec Academy for more cybersecurity insights and complete course content.